All righty. Welcome back, sir. Dante, been a few months.
Few months, yeah. How's it going?
Good, man. Good, man. How you been?
I'm great. I'm having a blast.
I can see that. Well, online mainly, I can see you're having a blast.
I am, yeah, man. I'm enjoying my life so much.
Getting around out of that fairway parking or that fairway street drive, whatever the hell that we call that.
Man, listen.
That one's bad, man. I hate that turn.
Man, you know what? It's one of those things where, so I was at my part-time gig, and I took a student through Norwalk in the truck.
Gotcha.
And of course, because we have to have our CDL, I'm like, oh crap, I forgot to check the truck route to make sure I'm good here. And because I know the law that like when you're making that turn, the other turn can be made as well. I was like, oh man, like when we're
this
here.
This is a lesson. This is a teachable moment, right?
Well, kind of. but when we got to it, nobody was there. So my student just made the turn and was like, what was so hard about that? And I was trying to explain, like, had someone been coming out of fairway, we would have met them head on. What would we have done? And I was just kind of talking to my bosses about it. And they were like, well, you just kind of wait it out and hope. And you do it the way that makes sense. So I was like, oh, I bet this would be fun to make people argue about. And I talked.
I think it worked.
So I actually, I was so worried that people would think I was stupid that I told my best friend beforehand. I was like, I'm telling you I'm doing this. That way when it happens, people won't be like, no, he's just making it up. So my best friend is like, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
But okay. And then like when it happened and blew up, he was like, how? Like, what? How did you?
It was a beautiful disaster.
I was so excited to just like, I couldn't believe
people were posting pictures and charts and
people were Googling things and like, again, like the tough part for me was like the wait. Because when I talked to my friend about it, I was like, I have to like stoke it just enough to keep it going so that then that next day I can do this crazy apology I've written. And he was like, dude, you like, I don't know how you derive such joy from that. And I was like, I guarantee you people will like have fun with it. It won't happen initially.
Right.
Like at first people are going to be pretty mad at me, but we're going to get to a point where people are going to like, I was like, I think I found a way to make these people like me. And so like when it happened and then I made the apology and people started going, this isn't real. And I like, as long as I play up that it is real, it works. Like people eventually give in and they go, oh, he's obviously joking. Cool. Like fun. So I've been enjoying that so much.
I guess the first thing is like, what time of the day was it where there was nobody else coming? Because that has yet to ever happen to me.
That's the right question to ask.
I'm like, bullshit. That did not happen.
I kid you not. It would have been before noon, like in the morning at some point. And the funny thing is, you're gonna flip out about this. Not only was it my student that got through there with no one, there was one of the like Norwalk, Indianola concrete mixer trucks in front of us. They got through there no problem as well.
I'll be damned.
Yeah. So how about that?
Yeah, it's a lucky day.
Crazy how the world works. But yeah, that was an incredibly interesting and fun time for me. And then I was like, I better like have some fun with this and then tone it down a little bit. And then I'll probably start to ramp back up the silliness in the group here soon.
No, I did like the first off the response. I said it was like a beautiful disaster because like you were seeing people come together. And like as soon as people started to come together, then somebody would be like, no, we can't have this happen. Like
I think the funny part for me was that there were a few people who like kind of had my back. And I like had to reach out to them behind closed doors and be like, hey, just a heads up, like it is 100%. Like what I'm saying is wrong. I know it's wrong.
Right.
I don't want you to like be arguing with these people and upset.
It's just a joke.
Like I'm 100% trolling. And they were like, oh, okay, well, cool. Thanks for letting me know. And I'm like, yeah, like I didn't mean anything by it. I honest to God just thought this would be funny. And they were like, well, it is funny, so cool. And
don't need you and your neighbor going at it, screaming at each other on the street because Dante didn't know his traffic laws.
Right. So, it ended up being a super interesting and fun thing. And so that, like, the whole that page in general, the way that it
operates.
Yeah, the way that
it's got its own life.
I know. The way that I've managed to become a part of it has been so really interesting for me. I'm like, I think the last time we spoke, I was like, I don't really do much around here. I don't necessarily feel like I'm part of the community, but I'm also not a part of the community.
Right.
And now I'm like, oh, I'm in the community.
Yeah,
like
somebody's like, oh, don't Dante posted on Norwalk page.
So I went to the.
My
bank.
wife does that. By the way. She'll be like,
gosh.
Dante just posted. I'll be like, oh boy, here we go.
So I went to one of the banks, and I'm not a member at any of the banks here in town, but I was getting ready to fly out to Vegas, and I needed some cash, so I had like a large sum of cash on me. But it was all 20s, and I was like, oh gosh, I cannot travel. Like, people are gonna think I'm a drug dealer. So I was like, I need some hundreds, but I also felt weird, like, going to these banks and being like, hey, if I don't have an account here, can I like swap these out? And the first bank I went to, they were just like, no. But the next one, the lady was like, yeah, but what's your name? And I was like, Dante? She's like, yeah, I thought that was you from the Norwalk page. keep making those posts. They're funny. And I'm like, you know what? If it gets me preferential treatment, I'll take it.
Damn right. Didn't on that traffic one, didn't somebody like start tagging some of like the local PD and stuff?
Yes.
Like asking like, okay, like ask this guy, he would know. Like,
yeah, they tagged the chief of police, who I then asked if it would be legal to become a prostitute. So don't do that, guys. Don't tag the police in my stuff.
He will ask them.
I will be very inappropriate.
No, and then your apology. That led into well, where you are today with some of it, but didn't it come down to? Oh no, that was a separate one with the dog poo.
Yeah, the dog poop. Yep.
That wasn't the apology. You apologize.
I apologize for everything. Right. So I made the first one was the traffic thing. Then there was an apology for that. Then I said that I was at Elizabeth Holland Park and someone yelled at me about the dog poop, and then I apologized about the dog poop. But dog poop is fertilizer. Yeah. And that is something, that's a hill I'm willing to die on.
That's your campaign slogan now.
It is my campaign slogan. This is the funniest thing in the world to me. So August 10th was the first day to file paperwork to become mayor. So I sent the paperwork, I just downloaded it, sent it in to get it printed off, and FedEx just wasn't getting it right. And I was like, oh boy, this isn't a huge deal. But tomorrow is the filing deadline, and I didn't get the paperwork until Monday. So I'm like trying to scurry and get 25 signatures. And it was like, it's so hard to find people to sign, I thought. But then I was just at, I won't say which store, but I stopped at a store and I just happened to ask the person at the register. I was like, hey, weird question, but would you be willing to sign a petition for me to be on the ballot for mayor? And they were like, yeah. And so I went from like 3 signatures to like 7 or 8 now, just because I asked them. And I'm like, wait, I thought I was going to have to make a post like, hey, I didn't quite get enough signatures to get on the ballot. But like, maybe if I go by a bar or other places, I can get to 25. And it's like, I keep trying to gracefully bow out of this joke, but I also have a certain amount of pride that's like, nah, dude.
Now it's,
like, try. Like, come on. Like, if all you have to do is get 25 signatures to get your name on the ballot, like, try. Come on. Don't just give up.
Yeah, like you can gracefully try and probably succeed on this and accidentally.
Yeah. So one of the signatures I got they were like, "What are you gonna do if you win?" And I was like, "Oh, buddy, that's not gonna happen." Like, I know, like,
I'm gonna fix that intersection.
I'm gonna put a median. You know what? You can only get in fairway from the back.
Yeah, make it a one-way.
Yeah. Or we're gonna build an overpass.
Yeah,
and you're gonna loop around to get
just
back on
no
28.
roundabouts.
Yeah.
For the love of God, no roundabouts.
Hey man, I love a good roundabout. I know that we're gonna lose probably 30 to 40 people.
Yeah.
In traffic accidents that first year. But sometimes, like, people, honest to God, I got a Facebook message from someone that was like, "Hey, if you do win, what is your platform?" And I'm like, "I don't plan to win. I just want to see my name on the ballot and post it on Facebook." Like, that's as far as I've thought this through. Like, if you want real policy from me, here's what I got. I'm gonna go to the town hall meetings, and whichever citizens show up to the town hall meetings or message me on Facebook saying they like or don't like something, I'm just gonna tally it and be like, we had 14 people in favor of it, we had 22 people that didn't like it, they win.
Boom, done. Direct democracy. We got it.
Like, I have no, like, people think that because I'm a very left-leaning person, and they're like, "Oh, you must live by those ideals," and I'm like, "You're out of your mind." Like,
right.
I live by the ideals that, like, I don't like, whatever I can do to make it easier for you to leave me alone. That's my platform.
Nothing wrong with that.
That is 100%. Like, that's all I want in life, is for people to be like, "You know what? That Dante guy is really nice, but I bet he's in bed right now, so I'm not gonna text him or call him."
Dante's phone's on silent all the time. Yeah.
We get it, right? Like, who doesn't like naps, man?
Oh man, naps are great.
Look at you. You almost had a. Like,
I know. I just was
you
like,
had a moment
that
right there.
good.
You were like, "Oh man, a good nap is so good." I'm telling you, buddy.
Yeah, long day, nothing better than a nap.
Oh, man, have you ever like finished a long day, and 7:30 rolls around, and you're like, "All right, I'm gonna just lay down on the bed and watch some TV," and you're asleep by 7:45. And you wake up that next morning and, like, your knees don't hurt. Like, oh man.
The worst is when you wake up at 8 and you think it's 8 in the morning because the sun's up, and it's like at that same like level of light in your house, and you just have that holy shit moment.
Nothing in the world, like, on those days when you accidentally go to sleep at a reasonable hour and you're hydrated well and you wake up feeling refreshed, and you're like, "Wait a minute. This is what it felt like when I was 17.
Yeah.
And I could bend over without things making noise." Man, where did the time go?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those moments.
It's the best.
No, usually what happens to me is I'm like, "Oh man, like I haven't had anything like work-wise come up." I randomly get calls early in the morning, 4 or 5 in the morning, and I'll go like 2 weeks straight, nobody calls me 4 or 5 in the morning. And I'll be like, "You know what? I'm going to sleep in tomorrow. I'm going to go to bed early, and I'm going to sleep in tomorrow." Oh, no. Then the phone's ringing till 10 p.m., and then I get a phone call at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I don't get any sleep. So I just try not to ever think about it. If it happens, it happens.
That's the way to do that.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
The second you plan for it, it doesn't happen. It's just...
That's true. Like I said, I love that sometimes you're just tired. Your body is like, "Go to bed right now." You get in bed, you wake up the next day, you're refreshed, and it's like, "Oh man, I should do this more often."
Yeah.
And you just don't.
I should.
Because
"Should's" a great word.
But it's so, like, it's so immediate. Like, the positivity of it is so immediate, and you feel it in that moment. And you're like, I really could if I planned a little better, if I prioritized things a little bit differently, but I just don't want to.
What's the fun of that? That
right.
sounds like discipline. Shit.
Oh yeah, get it away from me.
Ew. No, I think that's a good way to look at it, though, because when you do that and you do have that discipline, like, it sucks in those moments. But if you push, like, we all have those things. We have the ones that we know we should do and we don't, but we do some.
Right.
There's something we've changed our life and done something better, because it's a net positive on you or people around you, whatever it may be. It's when that negativity starts coming up, and like that's probably one of the things that drives me nuts more than anything. Like when I get excited about something, and I'm like, I like this, I'm all in, I want to do this, I'm interested, and then all of a sudden somebody starts shitting on it.
Ooh, yeah.
And it's like, I try not to take it personal, but you do a little bit.
Well, of course, yeah.
But especially if it's something that has nothing to do with anybody else. This is just something I want to do to better myself, and they shit on it.
Yep.
And I'm like, what's your angle? You just being negative? Like, what's your problem?
Well, so I get these trolls on the internet who will I'll say something that I think is innocuous, just a comment on something, and they'll like comment back or message me and be like, "You're not even that funny," and I'm like, "You have to listen to my album. Like, I promise you, I'm hilarious. That's first of all." And I realize that sometimes people are just built to bring you negativity, because like twice now in this year, I've had that happen where someone has been like, "You're not even that funny." And I'm like, here's a link to my album. Go listen to it. I promise you I'm funny. And then they've commented back like, "Yeah, you're funny, but you're fat." And I'm like, thank God. Like,
Now you get it. No.
Like, that I can give you. I am fat. But like, why did you start? Like, why did you start? And then just be like, okay, you've proven me wrong about the funny thing, but this you can't deny, and it is negative, and I just want to be mean to you. And it's like I've realized though that like the thing that I do in that moment, I just have to go, you just admitted I'm hilarious, and I love you for that. And when I meet them with kindness, it's so funny how they're just like, they'll either like delete the comment altogether,
right,
or they'll just be like, "Shut up, dude," and I'm like, you like,
or they just block you.
Yeah, and I'm like, I met your negativity with positivity, and it feels like my positivity won, because there are times where I'm like, okay, I'm meeting your negativity with negativity. Like,
yeah,
I just found a picture of your mom. Now you want to keep talking about fat people, or are we gonna let this thing go?
right.
So, it's like, oh, I feel so dirty in those moments, but I do go for it. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
If this is what we're gonna do, this is what we're gonna do. My mom's hot. My mom is a beautiful black queen. Your mom has 3 necks. So no, I'm kidding. I don't want anyone to talk about their mom in particular, but that's the energy I meet them with.
It's hard in that moment when you're like, what do I bring back on this person, and making that decision. For me, it's usually how much whiskey have I had that day.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Like, if I'm 2 drinks or less, I'm going to be like, no, I just blow it off. If I'm like 3 to 4 drinks, I do the kindness thing, be like, oh, come on, man, you're all right. But then those nights that I had a really bad day and I'm 6 or more in, woo, boy, it's on. Man. And then I wake up in the morning going, oh shit, do I need to delete this? Like, how many notifications do I have? Like, what did I say last night?
Let it sit.
You ever have those?
This goes back to the Norwalk group. One of the admins reached out to me one time because in one of the posts I made, I said that like the kids here look like school shooters. Shit. And he was like, hey man, can you take it down? And I genuinely I spent like 20 minutes trying to word my response to him right. And what I was in essence saying to him was, hey, if this really is a problem, just delete it. Like, I get that this, like, people may feel a certain way, but I don't want to edit it. Because he wanted me to like edit it and just take that part out. I was like, because I need what I'm saying to sting a little bit. Like, I need it to be like preposterous.
Yeah.
Because like the idea isn't to just say something.
You're not calling the kid an actual school shooter.
Right. I'm trying to.
You're getting people to go, oh, what the hell?
Let's convey some extremism. Not even extremism, but just let's convey some
it's
outlandish.
An attention grabber.
That's all it is.
Yep.
It's just enough to. this is going to sound weird, but I wanted people to reach out to the admins to say, hey, tell him to delete that. I didn't want them to actually like come at me with deleting it. And so when they did, I was like, why? Like, I absolutely understand it. And if it is a problem, like, by all means, I don't care about the post that much that,
right.
You know, I'm trying to like really upset someone. But I do want, like, if we're getting that response, I feel good about the conversation with, like, because we're not even having a conversation where, like, something I said as an absolute goof is like, it's working. That's the point. That is the point.
If I would have seen it, I just would have laughed just like I did right there.
I don't remember. I'm gonna have to see your screenshot. I guess
there's sometimes I think that too. Like I you know, maybe I don't post it, but like I don't know. There's some kids I look at and be like, Yep. And I'm sure some people have looked at me or my kid or somebody I know that way, you know, but there's some days where I'm just like, no, something's up.
Right.
It's like
the crazy part for me is like, I don't, like if you ask me like what motivated that, there isn't like one kid in particular I've seen where I'm like, ooh, that's the one right there. Like I couldn't point to one specific kid in Norwalk. It was just as I'm thinking about what I'm going to post there or whatever, it comes into these rambling things where I'm like, ooh, say the kids look like school shooters. And then I'm like, well, they kind of do. And once I bring it up to myself, I'm like, oh, well, like I guess like there are these children with these generic faces that fit that description that
they
probably
objectively look like
school shooters. And I don't think that they're going to do it. Like nothing in the world would break my heart more than if something like that were to happen around here. I don't want, like, the leap from your kids look like this to me wanting that to happen is not, there's nothing there for that. So it's like, let's just let the joke live.
Yeah. Because, I think that's where people have a problem on where they draw the line with jokes.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
You don't have to tell me.
So I went to Rogan and I'm trying to remember like what they were going through. It was one of the opening acts, and it was, you know, the whole thing's dirty. Like he's known for being a dirty comedian. Everybody who was opening for him was dirty. And they're going through and there's like all these dirty jokes and dirty words, and everybody's laughing, everybody's going, and then as soon as they said something about sexual with a pig, everybody like went, oh, and they're like, okay, that's where we draw the line in Iowa. Don't fuck with pigs. Okay, got it. Like it was like, but it was weird to hear the audience reaction to it because it wasn't anything more gross or weird than any other joke prior to that. But for some reason, because a pig's involved, okay, now we're gonna like have a little shock value to it. I don't know, but it happened several times throughout the night.
Yeah.
To where I was just like, that's objectively funny. And some of you were like gasping, like that was not, like that was one of the softer jokes sometimes, you know.
Yeah, but the line for what's funny has been recalibrated in a way where like the ability to receive humor and like react to it has gone from a like visceral thing that you used to just experience to now being a thing that we have to, because of social media, experience together.
Right.
So it's one of those things where like when I see something funny, I want to share it with people. And it's the same, like, especially at stand-up shows, I notice it now where it's like, I say some stuff sometimes that is just like very crazy. And it's not rooted in any sort of reality. It's just a really silly, dumb thing. So this is a very like bland joke. And the joke is, have you guys ever been so broke that the ATM asks you a second time if you want to check your balance? It's like, hey, man, come over here. I don't want to embarrass you in front of your friends. So just come over here and let's talk about the amount you're asking for.
It's like, do you really need this $20?
Right, right. Yeah. And so, like, just it's one of those things I throw out sometimes when we have a lull. Like when there's a check drop and people are writing in the tip amount, and I know that, like, they don't have the full capacity to pay attention.
Right.
But for whatever reason, I did it one time and someone after the show was like, hey, you should always punch up. You should never make fun of poor people. And I was like, I'm poor. So that is self-deprecation. That is me making fun of an experience that I've lived through. And like, I'm not that poor anymore, but I'm also not like pointing at you and being like, ha ha ha.
Yeah,
you
that's
suck.
not what that was.
I'm drawing the parallel in the experience. So that's one of those things that, like, because I've gone through that, I empathize with it. And I go, what if you try looking at this from a place of empathy with me,
right,
as opposed to empathy for the fake person I'm talking to, that you feel like I'm pointing this joke at? What if you were like, oh, like let's try being empathetic towards him? And they were like, well, I guess so. And I'm like,
was this another comedian or
no? This was an audience member who was just like, but
it's like going and telling people how to do their job. It's like hold on.
To a degree, I generally am kind of like, whatever. But if someone is listening to a joke and giving me feedback, I'll back and forth with them a little bit. And I think that one was just interesting to me because I was like, that is such a like innocent place to begin from for a joke. And I'm like, I have so many jokes about abortion, and she was just like, whatever, bro. Like, that didn't matter to her.
That
at
one
all.
Didn't matter. But
none of
how
those.
dare you talk about my ATM receipt?
like you shouldn't make fun of poor people.
It's so like things. Whenever I see something like that, it's almost like a. You can tell they had that emotional reaction, emotional connection, which is good. That's what you're going for, because everybody's pulled out their ATM slip at one time and went shit.
That's all the joke is meant to do, is go, hey,
it's a relatable joke.
We've all been at the ATM and thought, like I hope this thing doesn't shoot out a receipt instead of my cash. Like my friends are looking. I don't want to. Right. I don't want this to be bad. And so it's like.
I don't know though, to criticize somebody and tell them not to punch down, which I don't know about that. I think sometimes you can punch down and it's still funny. Yeah.
And there's so much humor out there that people love, but it's kind of like I was telling you, because we share the experience now. There's also this other thing that happens where you used to be able to just laugh at something you thought was funny and enjoy it, but now somebody sees you laugh, right? And it's like, what do you think is funny about that? And some like, I this is another situation I was in where I heard some joke. I don't even remember what the joke was, but somebody was like, "What's funny about that to you?" And I was like, "Oh, the way they said that phrase." And they were like, "What?" And I'm like, "The way they said that phrase." And I remember what it was. So this is terrible. Can I curse on here?
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
I'd like to be. There may be kids watching. So I was doing.
Kids don't watch right now. No.
I was doing a podcast and Morgan Freeman came up, and somebody asked me what I thought about Morgan Freeman, and I was like, the only thought I have about Morgan Freeman, I wonder if he has freckles on his dick. I wonder if he has cock freckles. And I listened back to that with someone, and they were like, "What's funny about that?" And I was like, "It's just the way I said cock freckles is such a dumb phrase." I was like, "It's stupid."
Cock freckles is funny, and Morgan Freeman is known for the freckles. Yeah.
So I'm like, but it wasn't even that deep for me. Like the joke itself, like I like.
It's a very simple, to the point. Yeah.
I like that, but the thing that made me laugh in the moment listening back to it was that I have forgotten that I said like dick freckles and cock freckles. And like those words together, it's the that's funny. Yeah. And I felt weird because I was like, oh, these are just funny words. Like the joke is the joke, but what helps it is the fact that you've got those the cock, the dick, the freckle, like it makes you laugh. And like at some point I was like, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're just going to look at each other and we're going to say cock freckles back and forth like 5 times, and we couldn't even start before she was like giggling. And I was like, see, like this is this is how this works.
So I have the joy of having a 12-year-old, and like he'll hear me on the phone with my brothers or some of my buddies, and I won't know I won't even know he's in the damn room, and like some things we say like with buddies or family or close friends that we don't say maybe around everybody, right?
For sure.
So like I think I said douche canoe. And like, it's not even funny to me anymore. Like, it's just one of those things you like. Guy's such a douche canoe. Like,
but to a 12-year-old.
Oh my god, he lost it. He like fell on the floor, like the RFL, or rolling on the floor laughing. That was literally just happened as I'm talking on the phone to my buddy. I'm like, I forgot how funny some things are sometimes, and then they get overplayed.
The way that they're said, and it's cool, man. Like you should be able to enjoy that, and for some people they've lost that, but I tend to like stick with it. Like,
I enjoy life, and the
I'm
funny things
I'm getting these
within
jokes.
it. Yes. So back to the one that was the person that criticized the joke and said don't punch down. Do you think that was like so she or he, whoever it was so offended by it that? Was it like a person felt personally attacked, and maybe that's why they were given the feedback, or were they trying to? I don't know. To me, sometimes this is worse because if it's a personal attack, like then it's just me and you. Like I can settle the score there. We can, shake hands, walk away. But it's some people that are trying to, like, it's funny because they're like, don't punch down, and then they try to be a protector of somebody that thinks is being punched down upon, but that person probably doesn't want you protecting them. Like, it's such a weird dynamic.
Yeah.
And when I see people do that, like, I lose a little hope and I lose a little trust, and I just don't interact anymore because it never ends well unless I'm like down on my knees begging for mercy, and I'm like, I don't know you.
Yeah,
like
your mercy doesn't mean anything
right,
to
but
me
that's
in
what
that way.
some people just want. That they want to be able to tell you how to do everything and what you can and can't say. And this goes, we saw it this year with the mask thing. Like, there were some people that honestly, had good arguments for it, and then some people just want to tell you what to do.
Yeah,
like, and I think that's what some of it is.
This person was deaf, so they did the thing where they like led with, "Hey, I thought you were great. I had such a great time tonight." And I was like, "Oh, thank you so much." And they were like, there was one joke though, and I was like, "Oh, really? Which one?" And I'm like expecting it to be one of the crazy ones, and they were like, "The one about the ATM receipt." And I was like, "Oh yeah, like what about it?" And they were like, "Well, like it feels a little bit like you're punching down. Like the rest of your jokes are so like well thought out and like just silly, but then that one, it felt like you were like making fun of poor people." And I was like, well, it stems from a place of like me being a poor person, and
right,
like that experience, especially now that I'm not like poor in that way, like it's just one of those things that I remember from that time where it felt like the worst thing in the world at the time, but now that I've lived through it, I realize it's just something that most of us are probably going to go through.
Yeah.
So it just feels like a point where we can have a connection. And they were like, well, yeah, but it just feels like, couldn't you find a way to make a joke about like rich people and their expenses? And I'm like, rich people are boring. I don't care about rich people. Like,
right.
Jeffrey Bezos doesn't go to the ATM.
Yeah.
Fuck him. Like, I don't give a shit about him. This is just me trying to connect
dicks into space.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is me trying to forge a connection with, like, because I know a lot of poor people will probably see my comedy, and I want you to know that like you're not alone. I experienced what you experienced, so it's more about that than anything. And they weren't pushy or like weird.
Gotcha.
They were just kind of like, okay, well, I see where you're coming from, but again, it just like in that moment felt to me like, oh damn, like I'm poor, like I don't know if I always have money in my account. My account may be overdrafted right now, like coming to see you.
Right.
And I'm like, well, like, buy a t-shirt.
Yeah,
Like, you're already overdrafted. Get a fucking shirt, man.
Yeah. Subscribe to my OnlyFans.
Yeah, man. Like, you're already overdrafted. They're gonna charge you $35. Go ahead and keep spending.
Yeah, win in Rome. Like, let's just burn it down. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. It's where
At least they weren't like pushy. That's what I was afraid of. It was gonna be like.
I've had those people, but yeah, like I said, I think I'm approachable enough that people kind of come in with the idea that, like, okay, if I'm straight with the guy, he'll shoot me straight back, and
right.
I try to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how's that work for you on Twitter? I'm finally getting on Twitter. I hate it so much. It's so toxic. Chris Shipley had him on here. He does a podcast here in town, and he talked me into getting one set up on there. And right now I got an anonymous one where I'm trolling. Like hardcore mean trolling. Nobody local. I stay out of. I'm going after like celebs and things like that. Cause
live your life.
It's more fun to troll in those comments because there's a lot of people there that
it is. Yeah.
But yeah, even some of the local stuff. Like I'm like it's another one of those things. Like I just don't know if I want to really participate a whole lot in some of this.
Yeah, man. It's tough. I'm still in the process of learning how, but I'm getting better about picking my battles. And like I don't know, man, like when people are approaching me, it generally goes initially they're either like, okay, I'm interacting with another person who is just on this app like I am. Right. We're dealing with one another. But the second that they have to come to grips with what the internet's perception of who I am is, basically meaning like I can argue with the person on Facebook and Twitter up to a certain point, and then they're going to either Google me or like figure out, oh, he's a comedian.
Right.
And then things change. Because then it goes from like, oh, you're just a person that's on this app like I am, to how can I ruin your life?
Yes.
And the attempts at ruining, like, because people will, like, they've reached out to my mom.
Oh, wow.
They the depths that people will go to do that will like surprise you. And it's funny because I never know. I don't know if it's like what is it that changes? Like when you find out I'm a comedian, are you angry? Are you jealous? Like what is it that's fueling you to be like, I need to try to ruin this person, or I have to prove something to this person? Or is it just like general pride where you're like, no, I want to show him how right I am and how wrong he is? Like, is it just that? Because
people just need shit to do.
I guess so. And it's weird because, again, like
that's why I stay anonymous. Like,
good, smart call, man. Yeah. I'm not kidding, because like I have friends, and this is gonna sound so like cocky and conceited, but it's true. I have friends who, like, when people go to a certain extreme, I can reach out to and go, hey, I got a situation here and this is what's going on. And they'll message me back in like 10 minutes and be like, this is this person's name, this is their address, this is where they work.
Oh, shit.
Send them that message and let them know you know who they are. And when that happens, I generally get the, hey, man, this wasn't that serious, like whatever thing. Yeah. It's like, all right. Like, and I like
there's times that's used in good. There was a story. So back where I'm originally from in Nebraska, some kid, nobody knew who he was. Like he was working for some farmer renting a house. Mm-hmm. And he drove into Lincoln, Nebraska, and had like window chalk, all kinds of racist shit on the back of his truck.
Oh wow!
And like somebody posted a picture and his license plate, which in Nebraska they do it by county number, so it always starts with the county number, and so everybody knew, oh, he's from there. Yeah. And so like everybody, like it was weird. It was like this weird internet mafia of all these hicks in this town or in this county of like, I don't know, 8,000 people total across the entire county. But they were so mad. They're like, we don't know who this guy is, and fuck yeah. And they hunted down who it was, and short of doxing him, pretty much said, we got it handled.
Oh, wow.
Like
that's, yay.
So 2 days later, I think he got busted in a drug ring. All kinds of shit went down. Nobody's seen him since. So I don't know whatever happened to the kid, but like the county was like, everybody in the county that was driving a truck that looked like that one too.
Yeah,
it's a
like,
farm community.
Yeah,
There's a white Chevy Silverado. Everybody's going, oh no.
Like that's the county truck. That's when you move to this county, you get this truck, and now you're making the county truck look bad, man. Come on, like
it's made. And everybody in town was just like, oh shit.
This is the last thing we need.
Right. Well, and it was at the height of a lot of attention this last year. So, like, there was some people literally, like, they would get in because the Facebook and Twitter feeds were just going nuts with everybody across the country trying to, like, dox this kid. And people from that community were like, we live here. We got it. Let us handle our own.
Good.
Like, and I was really surprised to see, like, how many old hicks figured out how to use Twitter all of a sudden when they're like, no, he's gone. We ain't dealing with this kid. Like,
get it done, man.
I was pretty proud. I was pretty proud of him back there.
Yeah, because I'm like I said, there have been a few people who have just like, so this dude who like reached out to my mom. That's
crossing big lines.
Yeah, that was like. And the funny thing for me was he didn't actually like get access to her. I just happened to intercept it just like by accident. And so that was when I was like, okay, I'm reaching out to someone who like in the event this person is stalking me and potentially like is potentially harmful, I want to get this information in this person's hands. And I reached out to that person and I was like, hey, I don't think anything is up right now, but this person was trying to like cross some lines here. And they were like, oh, if that ever happens, just let me know. Here's that person's information. Tell them you know who they are. And if they don't leave you alone, you're going to let their boss know. And I did. And the dude was, like I said, was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I just think that sometimes like this stuff goes too far. And I'm like, this went too far.
Yep.
This cannot happen. He's like, no, nothing's gonna happen. I promise everything's cool.
It's people. People don't understand that LARPing goes wrong. Like this live action role play shit people do online.
Yep.
Like they don't know. Like especially, this bothers me when I see like people really like going after somebody. Just block the dude. Like if the dude won't shut up. He's obviously not going to change his mind. You're wasting your time. Mm-hmm. Like you gotta block this dude. Yeah. Because all that's gonna happen is you're either gonna push him to a point of no return, or he's gonna push you to a point of no return. Yep. And nobody wins anymore. They just sit there and it's like dogs fighting over over a bone. And it's like, stop, guys. Like this is not going to end well. Like,
there you go. Yep. Yeah. The strange part for me is just that I go from being the person who's like, all you have to do is like send me a laughing emoji as something I take seriously and I'll block you. Like sometimes the threshold is that thin. Yeah. But then other times it's like, okay, we've sent each other 400 messages. Now it's time to block you. And I could fall anywhere in any of those. And it's like I said, I'm having to learn to calibrate that tool. Yeah. That thing of like, okay, it's not healthy for either one of us. One of us has to step away. It's going to be me. Like, I just hope I don't end up in a situation where that other person is dead set on going too far. And
won't
then
stop.
Right. And so those are the things I like worry about. And to be honest, not even for myself. Like I'm always like, like I have given up a certain fear because my job requires me to tell people where I'm going to be.
Right. Yeah.
So like I can't be out here afraid of everything, but then be like, come see me at this place.
Yeah.
Like it is what it
Get a
is.
ticket, some merch, and
Yeah. Like I have to live. I have to remove a certain amount of fear and just be like, all right, I need to be able to stand on the things I believe in and say to a certain point.
Right.
And I also have a concealed carry permit that's got my back to some degree, but that's not. I never think of that as something to like. That's not an offensive thing.
That's a last resort,
right? Yeah. And so, but all that said, the thing is, because I don't walk in that fear, and I know that like if someone really wanted to harm me in a certain way over whatever, it's not terribly hard to do.
Right.
Then I just operate in a way that says that like I have to operate knowing that, okay, this next one is going to be the one that it happens. So why not make the most of it? And if it does, then at least they got me while I was out here telling these jokes and doing what I love. But if not, then another one down. I didn't let that fear, I didn't succumb to that fear.
Right. Didn't hold you back.
Right. And so I've sort of learned that like, generally speaking, putting myself out there has put me in a spot where not only like, because at first I just let go of the fear because I was like, there's nothing I can do about it. I have no control over it. It doesn't matter.
Right.
And now that's transitioned into, should I be fearful? Because when I go to my shows, it's packed full of people who love me.
Right.
Who would not let harm come to me.
Yep.
And so it's like, you may want to show up and do harm to me.
Good luck.
But there are people who are going to stop that from happening.
Yep.
And it's like, oh man, like that's the beauty. That's how you get that. This is what I've been working for.
Yep.
So
yeah, I'm
taking it.
No, there's, I know what you mean. Like sometimes where somebody just makes the wrong emoji and you're like, piss off, I'm done. Like, and 2 days later, if you look at it again, you'll be like, oh, I might have overreacted. But then there's times where, like you said, you'll go on and on and on. And when it becomes unhealthy, I think that's the key thing you said on there. But there's like, I got arguments, I got private chat rooms with people that I've gotten into, shit with online.
Yeah.
Now we still argue about stuff, but it's like, it's like, it's good conversation. Like, we're not being disrespectful to each other. Mm-hmm. We're not putting each other down. And if we are, it's in a joking manner in the best way that we can, It's hard to convey that in text sometimes.
For sure.
But that's really hard. There's topics on there that aren't meant to be on there, though, because everybody else tries to jump in. I think you were in on one of them. There was the CRT topic on the Norwalk page.
Oh, yeah. I was like, when did I get... I talked about it 2 or 3 places, but yeah, you're right, yeah.
And I was like, the only comment I made is a whole lot of people on both sides have made this so confusing that, like, everybody else just got to shut up. Mm-hmm. And actually, like, pay attention to people that know what they're talking about. Because I just saw, like, a Fox News talking point, and then I saw a CNN talking point, and I'm just like, nope, I don't want to read any more of this, because all any of it did was make people dig their heels in deeper into whatever they already believed on it.
Right.
And, like, the narratives on both sides are so confused about it. And it dilutes the real thing that people want to talk about, that actually know what the critical race theory is. And it's like, no, nobody's going to go chase your kids down and make them think all this weird Marxist shit. That's not what's going on.
Yeah.
But that's what they're trying to make you believe. Like, but then on the other side of it, it's like, okay, well, it is a theory. Yeah, sure. But like, that's not to dismiss the problems that we have that led to that theory. So can we find somewhere here? Because like somewhere in the middle, the history of what's actually happened is fine to talk about. And like the fact that, like, I don't know, that's one thing I was like, I don't know what schools everybody's growing up in. But like some of the
Man.
shit that they talked about in there that I found totally fine, because I'm like, dude, I learned that in like a little town of 700 people in Nebraska. Like we were talking about this shit when I was a kid. Like,
Yeah.
what are you guys so fucking afraid of?
That's the crazy thing to me is I had this conversation with some comedians, and we talked about, it was me and some black comedians. We were talking about how most of what we know about history was like school stuff that we brought home that we then had grandparents and parents to help expound on.
Yeah.
So I've been celebrating Juneteenth my entire life.
Right.
It's not new to me. I'm very familiar with it. I knew that the United States government has taken responsibility for the murder of Martin Luther King. Like I just know these things because we're well versed on it. But we were talking about how funny it is that like our grandparents are these great sources of history and information, and we're like, our white friends have the same thing. And one of the comedians was just like, yeah, but some of your white friends' grandparents may have been on the other side. They may have been on the wrong side of that history. So of course they don't want it spoken about that way. Because when you start talking about like Jim Crow South, like my grandparents lived in it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they know what that was like. And so I have these classmates who like their grandparents were also there, but they were the ones with the signs up that said whatever they said.
Right.
And so it's like, you know, when there was a sit-in and there was a teenager pouring a Coke on a black person's head, that person is probably still alive. Mm-hmm. Like they've got children and grandchildren, and they may have some guilt around that. They may not have been on the right side of some of this. They may still not be, but they're never going to concede to owning up to that in a way that's healthy. So it's like, okay, but at the absolute bare minimum, can we at least acknowledge that it existed? So let's back up from the place of like guilt and blame and fault. Can we at least acknowledge that this exists? And for so many people, they're like, no. They're like, no.
Well, that's the heels dug in, and
yeah,
I see it every time. Like, it's the I got political buddies on both sides of everything, and like I'll see some like celebrate somebody like a Marjorie Taylor Greene, and then another one doing an AOC, and it's like this ideological pull away. I'm like, they're kind of the most polarizing figures on both sides. So that's just the two that I pulled out because like you're either all in there or you're all in there.
Right.
And I'm like, almost every person that I know that is like defends them to the death on everything they say. Yeah, sure. AOC says some things that are right sometimes. Sometimes she says some fucking crazy things. Marjorie Taylor Greene, yeah, once in a while she says something that's pretty based, and then she also believes in QAnon. So it's like
that's so funny. Yeah,
but like they'll defend it to the death on both sides, and I'm like, oh, so you guys are playing a sports game.
Yeah, it's a side. It's a matter of
like you're not in reality anymore. Like
it's interesting because you can take these things and you can be like, okay, so here's a topic, and people know where they land on it. And I'm like, when you present a topic to me, I'm like, okay, tell me about it.
Right.
And I didn't realize that we had reached there's a topic, I know where I land on it thing until it was too late. And now I'm in it, and I'm like, okay, I get what people are doing, but it's strange to me that you can go, okay, COVID numbers are spiking, and experts believe that masks could help, and people are like, well, I already know where I land on masks. And I'm like,
holy shit, my lights are flipping around.
Hey,
it's kind of pretty. I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah,
I don't know what the hell's going on.
But no, like that people would just be like, I know where I stand on
I'm
masks.
not sitting here with purple lights, though.
And they're not like, it's not. All it is that the information and the virus has changed.
Right.
So why can't you? Like, if that's going to change, you need to be open to change. And so it's like you said earlier, there are the people who are like, I've always worn masks, I'm better than you or whatever. Like, I know those people exist, but there are also the people who are just like, hey man, we're not doing a good job getting rid of this thing, and like, we just need to do some work on it. And
yeah, there's the COVID fatigue.
Yeah,
that's a real thing. There's things on both sides of it, though. Like, this is what's just pissed me off through the whole thing. We probably all could have came together on this if, like, the political sides of this did not create this mass. Again, you got these two sides.
Yeah.
Because, like, there was some shady things that have gone on, and both sides, really. Like, the banning of people from, actual doctors and people, whether they are warning against something correctly or incorrectly, it comes to that battle of ideas.
Yeah.
And instead of seeing that battle of ideas, which most halfway intellectual people probably would have been like, oh, that doctor said that. Well, this doctor says the opposite. Let's have them sit down, talk together, and and then usually you get something that comes out of there, or it'll be like, oh, cite your articles that back you up. And there was none of this. There's still not hardly any of it. Like, you have to get into the depths of the web to find, like, counter arguments on either side. Because, like, when you hear some of that stuff, like, it is kind of worrisome. Like, when somebody starts talking about vaccine issues that they had after they had it. Well,
yeah,
like, that's anecdotal to that one person, and sure, there's a lot of data that says, hey, you're probably going to be fine, but it's like, but, like, everybody does that but me type thing. Like, what if that ends up being me? Okay, well, go talk to your doctor.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to talk to your doctor, then there's thousands of studies out there. Yeah. But the problem is they all say the opposite thing every other damn week. But there's no consensus. That's the thing that, like, really bothers me. And it's totally a political divide. And it should never have been, but it was from day one. We can point fingers at where that started. Like, I've been guilty of falling into that a little bit of, like, I think everybody has. I think it'd be silly to anybody go, I've never took a political stance on COVID.
You know what's funny? I've been so good about, like, not being like what a lot of people might consider a shitty leftist on COVID. Man, like, I would consider myself like a bleeding heart liberal about it in a certain way, because it's like, people are dying. I don't want to argue with you.
Right.
Like, I just don't. Like, but people are absolutely dying. And so when even when I see the people who are like if you're unvaccinated and you die, like, whatever, I'm like, there are so many people who are, let's do it this way. I know way more people who are unvaccinated and stupid than I do who are unvaccinated and reasonable.
Right.
However, those people who are unvaccinated and reasonable are, like, doing their absolute best. They're wearing masks. They are trying to get pregnant, things like that.
Right.
And I don't want them to die from a virus that I feel like we could do better about protecting people from. And so it's tough when I'm dealing with them and trying to be empathetic toward them. And then I just have people who are like, I saw an Instagram video and it was posted on Hip Hop Titties Instagram. And I'm like, bruh, like, that's what you're doing. Like, because
I saw a 30-second video clip with dramatic music playing in the background.
That's what they saw. And they're like, this is good enough. And it's like, it makes me feel a certain way. It's almost like those people, you know how when you hear that someone was guilty of fraud, you're like, oh, that sucks. But when you hear that someone defrauded like a cancer organization, you're like, that dude is the fucking worst.
Yeah.
It's like that because it's like, again, these people who can't be vaccinated, I think of it as a civic duty to protect them. It's the people who won't get vaccinated and don't have good reasons why, where I'm like, come on, man. Like, this is it. Like, people are dying.
Right.
And so again, that's not even a political thing for me anymore, because I know folks on both sides who are just like, nah, that ain't it. And I mean, I saw Trump telling people, I wear the mask, like, I get the vaccine.
Yeah, his followers booed him.
It's like,
I was like, what the fuck was that?
When I see that, I'm like, oh man, like it makes it, like, when I saw that, I honest to God was like, oh man,
it kind of diminishes some hope.
Yeah, it's not gonna get fixed, because you would have thought that if he had eased into this, because you see it happening from what would be considered the right, where, you know, Sean Hannity and people like that are going, check out the vaccine or whatever. However, they're transitioning into that, I guess, side of things.
Right.
But when the people who follow them are that embedded in, like, we're not going to change at all, we're stuck where we are, it's interesting to me, because there are people on the other side who feel the exact same way as them. And part of me is like, why don't you guys get together and find more common ground and be better people? But then by the same token, I'm like, oh God, no. Like,
yeah. So, I don't know if we're ready for that.
What's going to happen there? Like, that would then mean that I need to potentially, do I need to invite Donald Trump to somewhere where I am to be like, yeah, you're right. These vaccines are working. They're killing it. Like,
right.
It's just it's a weird and interesting place to be, where, like, that is where we are.
It's crazy times.
Yeah.
There's oh Jesus.
Yeah. It's gosh. Oh boy, they booed him, man. It was too much for me.
Oh, that blew my freaking mind.
Too much.
That blew my mind.
I could not handle it.
Yeah, that one was pretty.
I'm
pretty
making
nuts.
sure I got that saved on Twitter, because I'm gonna watch that tonight.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to save it, and now there we go. Got it locked in the save, baby. Yep. All night long, just gonna watch that on a loop, and man, they booed him. That was a lot.
You had that, and then the whole Afghanistan thing.
Yeah, which I know nothing about. I know that when I was a freshman in high school, 9/11 happened. We ended up in Afghanistan, and now the Taliban has taken back over, and that blows my mind.
Yeah. So, like, everybody got all entrenched in, like, the videos of the people falling from the plane and stuck in the wheels. That was horrific, like that. But then, like, they were telling a story. I think I was reading an article about one of the kids that died on that whole incident. He was like 18 or 19 or whatever. So he is not known what it was like to live under anything but U.S. occupation.
Yeah.
He had no idea what it was like to live under the Taliban. He just heard the stories from everybody.
Yeah.
So, like, all these kids have no clue. And some of them that damn scared to get on a plane. And let's be like, there's a couple, what's that? I'm trying to remember. If it pops in my head, there's a really good documentary. Sebastian Younger, he's an author, but he did a documentary about Afghanistan, and like you get a better feel of, like, the people there, because, like, what was the one thing, like 99% of the people in Afghanistan didn't even know about 9/11.
Oh yeah.
Like
yeah.
Like they're just totally fucking clueless to the whole world. And these kids probably have never seen a plane like take off and have no idea what's about to happen when they climb up onto that damn thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's just a complete. They're like, hold on, hopefully this works. Like that's how scared they were that they were willing to risk it. And because we look at that and like why would anybody do that? You know, you're not going to make it. But they just didn't know any better. They thought, hey, like this thing might take me to the next town.
Right. And there's also this thing of desperation that we rarely see. Like the last time we saw that sort of desperation it would be something like the building that collapsed in Miami, or like Katrina,
that was bad.
or 9/11. Like that's, you know, when the guy jumped out of the World Trade Center.
Yeah.
Like that's when we see that desperation, and it's just tough because, like I said, I don't like people have politicized that even, and it's like, are we really going to take a political failing of both parties and try
everybody?
We're gonna try to pin that on each other. Like, man, that's like.
Well, nobody ever wants to take the blame for something like that, but
right.
And I don't know. I saw a lot of people. This is one of those ones that like I read a lot into. I got a couple of criticisms of like how it got pulled out of. The timing was probably the biggest issue of it, but like that day, that might have been the best worst case scenario.
Yeah,
it's not going to be good. It took me a couple days to come to that thought because the first couple days I was like, dude, no, this is bad. Which it is. It was totally horrible. It's just now it's like hopefully we just fucking salvage the rest of it and get it done because like hopefully the worst is over. It's like I said, best worst case scenario that was on the table that day. And
again, I'm not well versed on it. I haven't read a lot about it. It's one of those things where like I know that like we're doing a podcast right now. I know that we're supposed to just have strong opinions about everything.
Right.
But that's another one where like my baseline is people are dying. Mm-hmm. I'm not super well informed about it. Why am I going to go out here and argue about this? Like let's start at the fact like people are dying. There were people in incredibly desperate situations, and I don't want to hear Biden. I don't want to hear Trump. Right. I don't want to hear Obama. I don't want to hear Bush. I want to hear like ideas you may have that might help those people. Like I want to hear
we saved X amount of people and we're going to save an X amount of more.
Yeah, I want to hear that there are people on the ground there who can help if we donate to this or that. Like I want to hear ideas that involve corrective actions that I can actually participate in, because the bigger picture things that I have no power in, I've come to grips with that. Like I can't control where our troops are and what they're doing, but I can like this much I do know about Afghanistan. So they like our time there provided opportunities for education for women there that are like incredible. When you look at the scope of what our presence there allowed for women, just in terms of like the basic education that women there have been allowed to go after, that's an incredible thing. And so how do you take an informed generation, because that's what the 20 years represents to me. Right. How do you take an informed generation, the women who were 20 when we got there, who are 40 now, and the women who were born when we got there, who are 20 now? How do you take those and then the outliers of the women who were 40 when we got there, who are 60 now, and even older than that, who got that education? how do you take them back to a place that's, archaic in a sense?
Right.
You can't.
Does it all get erased or yeah? It's
and that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't, because it's like, if I tell you if I tell you, hey, no more TV, you're gonna be like, oh, shut up, like because you know what a TV is,
right?
And it's been a part of your life, and it's become a regular thing, and so you don't. Like, that's what education does. Like, that's why education is so powerful. Is because you, honest to God, can't take it from people.
Right.
Like, that's something that they just have now.
That's why they say knowledge is power.
Right. And so it's like, now you're telling me that these people who are educated, now they're going to be passing that down in whatever broken ways they can, but they have that, and they're going to share it how they can. And what do you do? Because you can't make them unlearn.
Right.
Now they're like,
and then they pass it down. Hopefully it continues generationally, and
you hope.
Hope.
But you've got people working against that, and do they end up winning out? Does the education end up winning out? Like, how does that all go? But for me, I'm just sitting here like, what can be done to preserve that sort of humanity? Like,
right.
Because that's what's important to me. I don't care about what American political side gets credit. I care that, like,
right.
Again, there are people involved in this, and that sucks.
But, yeah, when that's you're spot on there, because it was like everybody's just trying to like not. It's like the kid with cooties. Like, everybody's just like, no, I wasn't around Afghanistan. That wasn't me. It's just a.
That's such a great analogy. Yeah,
nobody wants to catch it. Yeah, it's like, no, it was really unfortunate what happened there, but I don't know. It pissed some people off, but like, I thought it was pretty crazy. Like, the last 2 days, I've been seeing the Taliban doing fucking memes.
Oh God!
On Twitter, I'm like, and some of them weren't bad. Like,
it's
like I was just like, damn it! Like, the Iwo Jima one was kind of offensive. Of like, like, I get it, and I get why a lot of people. I was like, all right, that one's gonna tug at the heartstrings of some people. But there was a few of them where I was just like, oh God, I can't even remember. Like, They were yelling at him about it, kind of to the women's rights thing. This was an offensive one that they had posted, but like, they did the Woolman Jack or oh God, what am I thinking?
BoJack Horseman?
Yeah, no, it wasn't BoJack. I can't even think of what the hell it was now.
Oh crap! I'm here for Taliban meme talk.
Oh, right. Well, how about the ones where them sitting behind the table, the presidency or whatever? And I've seen some funny Biden ones, some funny Trump ones where they would have like Trump sitting back there with all of them, and he's all dressed up. And seen one where Biden, of course, has shoulders and sniffing somebody. Like, I've seen so many of those.
It's Taliban memes, man. This is where if you had
2021, baby.
If you had told me in 2001, in 20 years, because the other thing you have to remember is, like, we're about to be at the 20-year mark of 9/11.
Yep.
So, like, there's a lot culminating, like, right now that, like, I'm mentally pretending isn't here until it's here.
Right.
But yeah, if you had told me in high school, 9/11, freshman year, hey, in 20 years there are going to be Taliban memes, I would be like, what the fuck is a meme?
Yeah.
But like, this is where we are, man. This is where we are.
Yeah. Where were you?
I was in keyboarding class at Bernie's High School. Miss Alford, this kid I went to high school with, Anthony Morris, was like, yeah, the World Trade Center just got attacked. He wheeled in the TV. We turned it on and watched the news.
Oh, the old cart TV I had.
The old cart TV. They had it strapped down, and we watched in keyboarding class. And I remember our computers in that class had internet access, But when we tried to get on the internet was down for some reason. And like she was like, "Oh no, they must have shut the internet. They're not gonna let."
Oh shit!
She was thinking that it was a thing where they were like, "We're boarding up everything," and because I lived like an hour from Barksdale Air Force Base, they're like, maybe they're gonna attack Shreveport, and I'm like, I don't know about that.
Right?
I don't think that's gonna happen. But they thought it was like a worldwide thing happening, and it turns out we just had shitty service. So it wasn't anything to that. We just,
it was the early days of the internet.
Yeah, that's all it was. It was 2001, so we were doing basic DSL. So but yeah, man, I remember. What
Somebody
about you?
Stepped on the phone line.
That's it.
I had to reset.
The modem had to connect.
Yep. No, I was. Shit, was I a freshman too? I'm trying to remember.
Did you graduate in 05?
04. So I was a sophomore.
Sophomore, baby.
So I remember we were in study hall because we had block scheduling. So study hall went on for like 2 hours. And it was with my favorite teacher. She let me do whatever I wanted. And like, so most of us just either read books or like I took a nap. Like, and I was laying under a desk, like halfway in and out. And she comes busting through the door, screaming and yelling, "Somebody hook up the TV!" And I'm like, guys, I'm sleeping here. Like, so I look around the room and everybody's looking at me because I'm next to the cart TV.
Oh boy!
And they're all just looking at me, and I'm like, all right, son of a bitch. So I roll over and wire it back up because she had it rolled across the room for some other reason. And as soon as I turn it on, walk around the front, that's when we saw the second one hit.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, shit just got real.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if I quite felt the gravity of the situation right there of what was going on.
I will tell you I didn't.
I did before I left her damn room, though.
Not even then. I remember so that week we had a football game that Friday, and I remember I asked someone, I was like, "Y'all think they're gonna cancel the game?" And I didn't get like what was actually happening.
Right.
And then like by the time I got home that evening, one of my uncles who was in the Army, they were like, "Oh, he's probably gonna be going somewhere." And I was like, "What is happening?"
Yeah.
And then it started like it really started setting in, and I was just like, "Oh, okay." And so yeah, it's nuts, man, because I think about how, like, so I lived through 9/11, I lived through Hurricane Katrina, like I think about those things and how they've affected my life and how I have a like weird ability to compartmentalize like extreme tragedy.
Right.
And it's so strange to me because it's like I don't know if that's a good thing, and like in the face of tragedy and chaos I'm relatively like unmoved and able to make good decisions and operate, or if it's a thing where it's like, no man, tragedy is crazy, you should always feel it deeply, and I feel like I do. Right. But it's also like it's terrifying because it's like I'm gonna have kids one day. I don't want to be unavailable emotionally to them when they go through tragedy, right? Because I've experienced so much. But then I think about it and I'm like, I'm not alone in that, right? Like we've all like us, we've seen some shit. So
it's I know where you're coming from on that, of like when it's not like in my household of immediate and like 1 or 2 steps away from my family, mm-hmm. It's easier to just kind of go. There's been several times, whether on job sites or whatever, I see somebody, fall, hit their head. Yeah. Like it's a head injury. Okay. Like here's how we handle this situation. Like there's no emotion involved. It is okay. 1, 2, 3. Here's what we do. Right. Somebody call. And like, don't move. Like, let's make sure they're not vomiting. Like, go through all these steps. Like, it's like you're a computer in that moment.
Yeah. But then
when it's like home, I'll tell you what, man. now, maybe not so much with other kids. This is the one that everybody's like, oh, when you become a dad or when you become a parent. I fucking hate it when people tell you shit like that. But for me, like when I was a kid, I was a risk taker. I skateboarded all the time. I was climbing and breaking. Like I was wild, man. I'd get on rides. I'd do everything. My kid, if he like trips on a carpeted staircase heading up, I'm like, oh, don't break your leg. Like I just freaking panic. I see other kids in this neighborhood running around on scooters. I'm like, oh God, I can't watch. Like I will look away. I've totally 180'd.
That's just maturity. That's maturity.
God.
I was
when I watch a kid though, I'm like, that kid's gonna biff it. That kid's gonna biff it. Like my other brothers were always like, he'll only do it once. I'm like, I know, but that one time,
it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt.
Like, I have to watch it.
It's very much maturity, because I'm the same way, where I'm like, I used to be all about going hard and doing whatever, and I saw a picture of my niece today. She's going to pre-K. It was her first day, and my brother posted these pictures. She's got on her backpack and her school clothes.
You're like, oh, she's got to get on the bus by herself.
Bruh, no, she didn't even ride the bus. He just posted pictures of her, and she had her little lunchbox in her hand. And I thought about her being away from her parents for the first time, and just lost it. I was at work, and I just bawling.
Yeah.
So I went to the restroom, got myself back together, and I was just like, man, when did this happen?
Yeah.
When did this happen? Because this is what I am now. And so,
you want water or anything?
No, I'm good, man.
Water, beer, whiskey, anything you want.
I knocked this one down pretty quick. I'm hydrated, man. I'm gonna go home and fall into that nap I told you about, and and wake up tomorrow. And I don't know. I think I am. There are places around here. I'm gonna make a couple of stops on the way home and see if I can't collect signatures.
Yeah,
because I have to.
You got your papers with you? Oh,
they're in the car. Crap, yeah. I forgot.
Because you got two here in the house, man.
I forgot to bring them. Yeah, I'll get that. And then what? So I'm not kidding. If I end up on the ballot for mayor, I'm going to probably get arrested for stealing voting material, because I'm just gonna go in, get my ballot, and bring it home with me.
Yeah.
Be like, yeah, this is one vote I don't have because it's literally my ballot.
It's a souvenir.
I'm going to frame this and put it up. What would make me the happiest person in the world is if I did that and I lost by one vote.
Yeah.
I would just love the irony in doing something stupid.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, don't know how happy that would make me.
No, I don't know. Like I've always thought about, I've never wanted to be like a politician per se, but like you always want to be part of the community and community leadership and like be involved in what's going on and like help make a better decision than some of the, I don't know about Norwalk's past on some of their decisions, but there's always a dumb decision that's made. And I've always thought about it and like, well, should I always like ever do this or do that? And then I'm always like, no, I don't have the time, the energy, or the, really, I don't want to hear from all these other people. Like, I just, there's like, sometimes I just don't care.
Yeah. Like, here's what I need people to understand. One is, if I do get on the ballot, I'm going to be so excited to just lie to everyone.
Yeah.
If you want there to be a mask mandate and you tell me, guess what? Sure. I'm going to lie to you and say, yeah, as soon as I'm elected, we're going to have masks. And then as soon as someone who doesn't want mask mandates comes up to me and is like, I heard you were going to give us a mask mandate. I don't like that. I'm going to be like, I don't know who's been lying to you, but we are not going to wear masks in this town. We're not even, this Halloween, I better not see a child with a Halloween mask on. Like, yeah. I'm going to do that.
No damn mask for Halloween.
So I'm going to lie to people. And then secondly, like, I need people to understand that, like, I know I'm not going to win. This isn't about winning. It's about me pretending like I want to win on Facebook and, like, arguing with people who don't know how the internet works. And, like,
there's a few of them.
Active trolling. Like, getting good enough at trolling that my name is on that ballot. That's what this is about. And if I can reach that goal and get the name on there, I'm gonna be a happy dude.
So what's your deadline again?
Tomorrow.
Oh shit!
Tomorrow at 5.
You better get down to the bar, man.
That's what I forgot that there was a bar in town. There's a couple of them.
There's like 805 or whatever. 805 Main.
804 Main.
804 Main. I don't know. And then there's the bar and grill down the street here. When you cross the highway, go down Beardsley.
Oh yeah, 8. That's another weird number.
Yeah,
18
Draft House or whatever.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go in there. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do, and then hope that it turns out well. Cause yeah, man, we need some change in this town. I'm just not the guy for it.
I love it. Just get the damn name on there. Just to...
That's where we are. We need change in this town in the way that like the names on the ballot. And
I guess the one thing that like there's somebody in this town, hopefully somebody that listens to this show that's sitting there going, I could really make a difference and do a lot, and they think it's just too damn difficult to get their name on the ballot.
And I'm telling you that if you are that person and you are listening, don't believe that. Like, it is so, I don't want to say easy because I was lazy and didn't get it done yet, but it is doable. Like, if you feel like you can actually make change, I would be glad to like stop being silly for a second to tell people to actually vote for you. But you know, get out. You got to let me know. I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
Make yourself known.
Yeah. No. Hopefully somebody's inspired, if nothing less.
That would actually really make me happy if somebody was like, you know, I saw you were joking about it, but when you made me aware of how easy it was to get on the ballot, I decided to run, and now, you know, we're gonna get vending machines in everyone's house.
And poop is fertilizer.
And poop is fertilizer.
And damn right it is.
Dog poop specifically.
You got any shows coming up?
Man, mostly on the road. I'm gonna be in Grand Rapids, Michigan this weekend, nice. And then I think I'm in Omaha the next weekend for the Omaha Comedy Festival. So just road stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, just working.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Where can everybody find you?
Twitter.com. I am at Dante Powell. You can find me on Instagram at moose.rattler. And then also, I mean, you guys can just text me. Area code 31. No,
just give somebody's phone number that you don't like out.
Yeah. 318-285-9981. Just text me. And then, no, you can. I always like to give people my email address on podcasts. moose.rattler@gmail.com. So just email me with the subject Norwalk IRL. And let me know what you thought of this. Or even if you don't have any thoughts about it, if you just want to email me and send me a picture of your dog or yourself, whatever, I don't care.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
As always, man, good time having you on. I don't know.
My pleasure, man.
You're fun to have a good back and forth with. I just rolling with the jokes and then get a little serious and then back into the jokes.
I'm trying my best, man. I'm trying my best.
No. You were the first, and actually you were the most viewed and most downloaded.
Oh man,
out of all of them. So
all right.
So, yeah. Most people listen, but the YouTube
it
channels always suck, man. So saturated. Everybody's got a podcast today.
They do. It's nuts. Hopefully this one will go well as well. We gotta get Joe Rogan on your podcast.
I know, right?
You bought a ticket to his show. Yeah. He should reward you.
Yeah. You're probably 3 degrees separated from Joe Rogan to where I'm like 12.
I'm not saying this to brag. Yeah. It would be 2.
2.
And I wait. I'm 1 degree separated. I know a person that is directly. So there's the one. I'm the second one. But that then makes
that makes me.
There we go.
Well, shit, hook me up, man.
You know what's funny is that the person I know that is in good with them has a podcast, and their podcast is pretty popular. But they were like, "Hey, Joe, you want to come do our podcast?" And he was like, "Why don't you just come do mine?" And he was like, "Oh, yeah."
Yeah, that's a bigger one.
You do have the biggest podcast in the world. Okay. So
Yeah. He still does amazing shit on there. Some amazing people.
yeah.
I can't believe it sometimes. Yeah, that Quentin Tarantino one, which was just awesome to listen to, whether you like Tarantino movies or not. It was just a really cool show.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's a decent podcast. It's no Norwalk in real life.
That's right. That's right. No.
It's okay. Company man, baby. Yeah. Company man over here.
Awesome. Well, shit, man. Let's get you some signatures.
Let's do it, man.
All right.
Mayor Powell. Take
Mayor
it off.
Powell. Good night, folks.